continue our conversation with foreign policy expert Sanjeev Srivastav and of course defense expert Major Mohammed Ali Shah. Major Shah, come in here. What do you have to say on this particular piece of information coming in where the numbers are out, wherein 861 people have been injured, 38 children have been killed, 71 wounded, and so far 474 people have lost their lives?
Riyanka, right now there's a lot of information warfare, psychological warfare, web warfare going on. So we do not really actually, one media, say Western media, will give something else, and the Russian media will give something else. So if we are to believe Russian media, or if we are to believe Western media, or if we are to, now at the same time, President Vladimir Zelensky would give out a video saying something has happened, and President Putin will say something else. Now the thing is, I would really tell both the nations, Russia and Ukraine, from my side, for whatever it's worth, that there is no pride in saying that we killed so many troops, we damaged so many vehicles, we harmed so many people. What, if you see it in a broad term, it is we have made so many small children orphans. We have made so many young girls widows. We have caused a great damage, a dent to the economy of a nation which worked hard, which was trying to come up, which was trying to build itself up. We have caused great damage. Yes, so when these kind of figures come out, it is very disheartening, because I have seen, we have all seen on your channel, the children who have lost their parents walking miles in the snow to go and find some shelter. It is disheartening. A small child saying goodbye to his father, who probably he would never see again. And any country, let me tell you, Russia, when it entered Ukraine, let's see, logically, tactfully, in a military way, it's obvious and it's common sense that any country which is, see, everyone is a king in their own kingdom. But the moment you exit your kingdom and enter a different kingdom, you would be a stranger over there. You would not have the comfort level that you would have in your own country. So when Russia entered Ukraine, so the common sense says, yes, there would be casualty upon the Russian troops. And when we saw the 64 long kilometer convoy, the vehicle, there has to be one vehicle. Who would be leading it? They would be one person, right? Now the vehicle leading it, it's almost like a suicide mission. That person would 90% know that he would not perhaps return back to his country, but yet he is advancing forward. Now that is what soldiers of any country, every country, are made of. Today, if I have to give my life for my nation, I would be very happy to lay down my life. My ancestors fought in the First World War, my ancestors fought in the Second World War, my father fought in the 1971 war, and you know, I have seen action in Jammu Kashmir, Northeast. So that's what soldiers' psyche is. They are trained for that. So when these kind of figures come out, it only sends also alarm bells that our Indian students should be safe and sound. The ones who are left over under Op Ganga to be evacuated from there. And yes, it only shows the mass destruction. And let me tell you, Riyanka, it is just the beginning. I see this entire military operation, so to say, as Russia puts it, or the war, at least go on. They would not be able to take over Kyiv for the next 2 weeks at least, if not more, is what I would say. And the figure of the casualty is obvious. It's bound to increase further and further. We saw Harjot coming back to India yesterday. Now, Harjot came back, he had 4 to 5 bullet wounds. Whereas Naveen, the boy we lost, he lost his life in a shelling. Because shelling happens, the bombardment that happens, and if you run from point A to point B, where's the guarantee that if you run off from point A to point B, that the shell will not fall here, will not fall there, it will fall here. It can fall anywhere. You might escape from this point and run there, but bullet firing, especially snipers, our Indian students are very skeptical about snipers being parked over there. They are planted over there. But let me tell you, it is not that easy to handle a sniper as well. You need 2 people to fire a sniper technically. One is a spotter who actually spots, and he makes calculations. And you cannot really train somebody using a sniper one day. So when they say a NATO supplying arms, well, it can be defensive weapons, but sniper needs a lot of training, a lot of calculation, a lot of technical aspects. It's not that if you're a good shooter and you can take a good aim, you'll be a good sniper. No. There are a lot of calculation about the hemisphere, about longitude, latitude, and then you calculate and then you put aim. That is why it's so precise. But it's very, very technical actually. So our Indian students who are skeptical that they are snipers all over, they should understand that snipers actually, and it would be a conscious fire with a sniper when you are sure of the target. But a shelling is totally unpredictable, and that is the reason why. And if you see technically, Russia has not even used the Air Force as yet. They haven't unleashed the Air Force as yet because of various reasons. One is, of course, President Zelensky has dragged into the International Court of Justice, and they are being accused of war crimes. They would be further being accused of war crimes, and then yes, the UNO could step in there for whatever it's worth it. But I hope that does not happen. I hope that Russia does not unleash the Air Force at all. But it's very disheartening and sad. It pains me no end. I have seen enough bloodshed, Priyanka. I have bled in the line of fire. I have bled from the front. I have seen my buddies dying in my own arms. I have that feeling when you're passing through bullets and there is bombardment happening all over. No one better who has experienced that situation can tell you that. And my heart goes out to the students. Let me tell you, Priyanka, had I not been a trained soldier, I would not have been able to handle the situation the way our Indian brothers and sisters are putting up the front, and they are there. They are no less than any war hero. Their parents are no less brave. So yeah, it's alarming. It sends home alarm bells. It sends home chills. It is really sad indeed. And yes, it could be a lot of information warfare and psychological warfare at the same time.
As Major Shah, now this is more worrying that the IAEA coming out and saying that they have lost contact with the safeguards monitoring system of Chernobyl, which was taken over by Russian forces, and there have been a stop in the transmission of data.
It is indeed alarming, Priyanka. It is certainly a matter of grave concern. And Chernobyl, we all know, we all are familiar with the disaster of Chernobyl in history. Everyone has read that in school. And when people actually lose communication, lose contact, or lose, it is really very alarming. It sends home alarm bells, and only in a war-torn country, in a war zone, we know the challenges that prevail over there. The communication, like for example, a TV tower was blown. I mean, so most of the network communication just goes here and there itself. So it is a matter of grave concern. But let me tell you one thing again, and as the Russian army, we do not know what the strategy is going to be. And adding slightly a bit further to what Mr. Srivastava said, he has some very, very valid points, and I totally agree with him. I'm on the same page. But having said that, I would also say, see, there's no justification of the war at all. The people who were supporting Russia, the people who had their sympathy for Russia, saying that Russia is not wrong in asking Ukraine not to enter the NATO. Russia was not wrong there. Ukraine also should have realized that they should also spread their feet till the time the other person is not getting affected or feeling threatened by that. That should be Ukraine's maturity. Ukraine was only taken in by US talks who had given them fake and false promises. Already in 1991, James Baker, the Foreign Secretary of the USA, had told Mr. Mikhail Gorbachev, the President Gorbachev, that there would be no further expansion of NATO beyond East Germany. And I think a word given should be the end. A word given should be honored always. You cannot go back on your word thereafter. But even after that, in 4 phases, NATO inducted 14 nations, 2004 more nations, 2008 again. That is when the attack on Georgia happened. Now, not getting much into the history, because we all know in 2012, and when Russia said, okay, let me take over Crimea, because that was one peninsula from the Black Sea. I would have domination for the Black Sea as well. And he had been strategically planning. Yes, Putin could, that is certainly, I mean, it's but natural. Anybody would want to regain its lost glory. But he is not justified in doing the action that he's doing. The war is never an answer. War is not, it will take you behind. It would be self-destructive. As Mr. Srivastava rightly said, a lot of Russian soldiers also were killed. There is a lot of huge casualty on both sides. Now, he's not justified. I'm not justifying his actions at all. I'm just trying to tell you, I'll give you an example. Supposing on the Indian border, if a small nation gets influenced, like, you know, you remember exactly a year and a half back when Nepal, who is a buddy, who is a younger brother to us, was getting taken in by China. And we didn't like it. We didn't like it. all the Indians. We said, what is this? So it is not about that. I agree, you have no right to interfere with anyone's foreign policy decisions or with the sovereignty or democracy or independence of a country. No one is allowed, and it's not accepted, to be a bully and say that, no, do this, do that. It's like me telling, don't be friends with that person, be friend with that person. You cannot dictate. You are nobody to dictate. But that is not the case over here. Here the case is about Russia felt threatened, and rightly so. They would feel threatened because if Ukraine, personally, I do not personally feel that Ukraine could have, NATO would have given them their membership at all. Because of various reasons. If this would have had to happen, he would have given it the first instance. He wouldn't have had to drag his feet for 8 years and still keep them hanging. Secondly, NATO perceived Ukraine to be a threat, not a threat, sorry, to be a liability. Because now that Ukraine has proved its mettle, that they are fighters, they are brave hearts, they'll leave no stone unturned, they'll fight till the last breath, that they have proved now on ground. And it is commendable. Their spirit is really commendable. I really salute them for their spirit. But at the same time, there is something in academy which is taught as tactical withdrawal. We are taught about attack, we are taught about defense, and we are taught about tactical withdrawal. You should know when to withdraw. Like, I would also tell Russia at the same time to withdraw now, because if not a ceasefire, they are bullying, but they are also having casualties. If you are over the dead bodies of your soldiers and sacrifice them for your own personal ego, then I don't think it is leadership on both ends, from President Putin's side and President Zelensky's side. And you cannot clap with one hand. You have to you clap with both hands. So when they say that Russia attacked Ukraine, unprovoked attack, well, that was the front what the Western media was reporting. Well, they have been provoked for 8 years, and though there is no justification, and till the time they had not attacked, a lot of sympathy were with Russia also at the same time. I was okay. I said they have a point. But the moment they attacked, tables turned. People who were Russian sympathizers turned. They said, no, this is no way.
Right.
This is no way. This is like saying, oh, he provoked me, he made me get angry, so I went and murdered him. That gives no one any right, Priyanka.
All right, point taken. Thank you, Major Mohammed Ali Shah and Sanjeev Srivastava, for joining us on the broadcast.